Hello friends, welcome to 3x Point. In this movie, what we'll be doing is downloading and installing VMware PlayStation, I beg your pardon, Windows Server 2012 R2 and SQL Server 2016. I'm going to bring my browser here and you can see I already wrote this on Google. Just put this on Google, download VMware Player Windows 10 or whichever operating system you're using. You would find a number of links come up. If you see the one with vmware.com, VMware Workstation Player, just click on it. I already did that, and this is the page it brings me to. Now, one thing you should bear in mind is with VMware, they kind of change their web pages from time to time. So if, let's say, you're watching this movie 2 years after today, the web pages might have been moved around, okay, because it's happened to me before. Watched a video on YouTube which was done a number of years ago, and by the time I went to the website it had changed around, so you need to be aware of that. So but for now it's up to date, it's what we want, and if you're lucky enough you'll find the exact thing. So what you want to do is you want to look for downloads. Click on downloads. Now when you get to downloads, these are all the products that that VMware offer for different solutions. Data center and cloud infrastructure, that's not what we want. Infrastructure and operations management, that's not what we want. Networking and security, that's not what we want. Application management, infrastructure as a service, application platform. Just go down to desktop and end user computing, and we're interested in VMware Workstation Player. If you go for VMware Workstation Pro, you might have to pay for that. If you're using Mac OS, what you want is VMware Fusion. But because we're using Windows, so we'll be more interested in VMware Workstation Player. Just hit the download product button. And right here, you're going to see VMware Workstation 12.1.1. That's the build number. And we don't want for Linux, and we would click on download, and there we go. It's actually a fast download. So while that is rolling, let me just quickly show you how to download your Windows Server and SQL Server. So what you want to type in Google is download Windows Server 2012 evaluation. I actually like to use evaluation because from time to time, if you want to keep practicing, this evaluation is only for 3 months, so you'll be forced to do the whole process again after 3 months, really. But if you don't like to do that, you could go for paid version, standard enterprise. You don't want to do that, but you get the gist, really. So now we have this, and you could just click on the very first one, should be fine, and you get to come to this page. So it would ask you to sign in or to register with your Microsoft account if you have Outlook or anything like that, and then it will come up with a number of products that you can download, and we're interested in Windows Server 2012. Download the ISO, register to continue, and it will bring some information out for you like that, and you just hit continue, and then it will download it. So I already have it downloaded anyway, so I don't need to do that right now. The same thing goes for SQL Server 2016. Same process, just look for SQL Server 2016, hit the download button. I have mine downloaded already, so I don't need to do that again, so that's fine. And thirdly, you want to do this SQL Server build numbers. Right, if you do that, just look for this website, SQL Server build numbers. Open it up, and what you get is Best practices: when you install SQL Server, whichever version, you need to apply the latest service pack. For SQL Server 2016, there is no service pack. What we have is the RTM version, which is what you will get from the download from this link that we were at before. And what you need is this critical update. So you will have to apply that to our installation afterwards. So let's see. Download critical update. And if you had some time, read the system requirement, read instructions, and hit the download. And that's it. We have that. So we have our, let's start with our VMware installation. Just double click, hit yes. Hit next, accept the terms. Enhanced keyboard driver, reboot will be required. Do I actually want this? It's up to you really, but I'll just hit yes. Check for updates, that's good. Desktop, that's it. So if this recording stops, I'll just pause it and record, continue recording after the installation. Alright, now we have our VMware fully installed. It's time to create our servers. So I'm going to bring up VMware, the installation. I'm going to bring it up now. Okay, I'm going to say this. So before I started doing the recording, I'd already created the servers, which is the primary, secondary, and domain controller. It's the same steps for all of them. So I'm going to create one more server, one more virtual machine, and that's going to be our file share server, because we're going to need, I'd like to show you how we're going to use that to be the place for always on file share synchronization. We don't use shared storage for this kind of setup. If it was regular Windows failover clustering and SQL Server clustering, yes, we'll be talking about using network share for a single location where the MDF and the LDF files will live for each of the instances. But in this case, we're not going to be needing that. But I just want to create a file share server so that we can use it to synchronize the always on. When we get to that stage, you understand what I'm talking about. So what we want to do now is create a virtual machine. Don't forget, it's the same step for all the 4 servers. All right, so I'm gonna hit that, and then you have to browse to where the downloaded CD is. As you can see here, it says Windows Server 2012 detected. So I'm just gonna click next, and now you can name it whatever you want. So this is file share server. Right, and I don't want to install it in this location because my C drive is already filling up. So you can choose where you want to install that. Let me just show you so you understand what I'm talking about. Alright, so as you can see, I'm in trouble right here. So but I got a lot of juice right here as well. So that's where I want to put it. So that's where I want it to go, and that's the folder. So I'm just going to create additional folder to put this file share server. Okay, and then okay. All right, let me quickly show you something. Now each of the virtual machines that we create, they live on the file system as just files. Okay, the files, and these are the files, the VMDK files, and there's an option there that asks if I wanted if I wanted it to split the files like this, you'll see when we get to that stage. But I just wanted you to see behind the hood, this is what's happening when you create virtual machines. It typically just create these files. All right, so I'm gonna hit next. How many gig do I want? 60 gigs. All right, and yeah, that's the one I was talking about. So store virtual disk as a single file or split disk into multiple files. For this one, I'm just gonna use one single file, and you can see here it says splitting the disk makes it easier to move the virtual machine to another computer, but may reduce performance with very large disks. So if you want to do a migration project and stuff like that, you want to consider all these kind of options. All right, next, and I want to power on the virtual machine after creation. Now I would have clicked on this custom hardware settings, but I'm not going to do that now because I want to show you some other settings we're going to be doing after the installation is complete. So I hit finish, and then we wait for this to complete. Okay, as you can see, the files are loading, and we just have to keep waiting. It's gonna take a while. All right, so just be patient. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so we have that loaded. Let's just wait a bit. All right. So we've gotten to this stage now, and what we want to do is to select the time and currency format that we want. And mind you, you can see that the screen is quite small. We'll fix that in a minute. Just hang on to your hat. So here, because I'm in the United Kingdom, I'm just gonna select United Kingdom. You can select the country which you are and hit next and hit install now. And this will take a while too. Setup is starting. Okay, all right. So here I'm gonna select data center evaluation, and let me move this around. GUI. So you don't want core, and this is evaluation standard evaluation GUI and standard evaluation core. You don't want core. Core is gonna be all command prompt, no graphical user interface that you could click next and just right click and do stuff. You can't do that with core. So in our case, we're gonna hit on data center evaluation server with GUI, and we want x64, which is the 64-bit, and I'll hit next. And this is the part where it will take a while. It will take its time to load all the files necessary, accept the license terms. And here we're not upgrading. What we're doing is an installation. So hit this one, click next. And that's it. Yeah, so this is the part I was saying. It will take some time depending on your configuration. I mean, the resources you have on your server. If you have enough memory and CPU, it will run faster than if you don't have enough. So now you can relax, go take a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or you could just, if you're in the United Kingdom, you could go to McDonald's and come back. Before you get back, it would have been done. All right, I'm gonna pause the video, and I'll get back when it's all done. Right, okay, so we have our virtual machine fully created. This is the kind of page you will get after the whole installation. So you get this, click yes to get this out of your way. And once you're able to get that out of your way, come to player, go to manage and install VMware tools. Alright, so you double click this and that's complete as well. So click on next and do complete. I just do complete really, and wait for this to complete too. It's almost completed. And we're finished. So hit finish. And now it wants us to restart the computer. We're just going to say yes to restart it. So my computer is restarting. Just gotta wait for it. Give it some time to come up. So we have the computer restarted. Now there's something I'd like to let you know here. It says press Ctrl Alt Delete. If you do this, because it's a virtual machine, if you do this, it's actually not going to affect your virtual machine, but your laptop or your desktop, whichever you're using. So the best thing to do is to hit Ctrl Alt Insert, or you come right here and you can see send Ctrl Alt Delete to virtual machine. So it's either you click on this button right here or you hit Ctrl Alt Insert, and that's just what I'm gonna do. And now you can put the password. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is right click on the desktop, go to screen resolution, we need to change the resolution so we can get a better screen size. Scroll down, and now you want to drag it all the way to the top. So I'm gonna drag it to the top like that. Hit enter and apply. Okay. Keep changes and close and close. Alright, we're getting there gradually. That's not where we're going, so we're gonna try to do it again. Now we're having a better view, so now we can drag it to the top again, hit enter and apply. There we go. Keep changes and that. Now it actually looks like it's not too big. Okay, let's reduce the screen resolution. I'll bring it down to about this size. Enter, apply, keep changes. Just one more try. No, I don't like that either. Okay. I guess I'll just live with this for now. Right. So this is what we're gonna do for all our servers. But then there is one more thing that I want to show you. Before we proceed, let's have a look at our plan. So I've written down some additional notes. So first change, I've been saying VMware PlayStation. It's not PlayStation. I guess I've been playing too much of PlayStation these days. That's why I wrote that there. So it's not PlayStation, guys. It's actually Workstation Player. So make changes to that. And take this out of the way. And right. So VMware configuration. Moving files between local and virtual server easily. So we want to be able to move files around easily so that let's say for example I need to move some files from my desktop here. Let's say I need to move me go into my Google Drive and let me look for something to copy. Okay, let's say I want to copy this text file. Copy. And I want to paste it into this domain, this file share server. Just put it on the desktop. And that's it. Now, this has worked so well, fine, just because it's a little file. Imagine if it was a very, much bigger file. I'll have to do all that, go into the laptop, copy and come in here and paste. But I don't want to do that. I want to be able to have access to files from my laptop directly from within this virtual machine, like having a folder like this right here, so that if I just click on it, I have access to it rather than going to copy and paste. So that's one of the tasks that we're gonna do, and that's what I mean by that. And the other one is install VMware tools inside machine. That's the one we've just done. We've done that already, so I can take that away. So let me quickly do this, and to do that we actually need to shut down the server. Right, okay, you know what, to save us some time, there are some other things that we need to do so that we can shut the server down once and for all. Okay, so now this is something we're going to do on all the servers. So let me go down into Windows Server environment. What do we have here? Set time zone, disable firewall. Okay, because I want us to do all this thing in one whole chunk so we can restart the server once and for all, so we don't keep going back and forth. So I'll put you to the side. So first of all, I want to change the time zone, change date and time zone setting. So depending on where you are, you want to make sure you have the time zone set to the correct one. So I'm in London, so I'm gonna leave it like that. So you have to do that for each of your servers as well. So that's done. And the other bit is disable firewall. I mean, in the real world, you're not gonna be the one making changes to the firewall. You have to either raise a service request, ticket, or depending on what environment you're working, you send a service request to either the networking team or technical services or whichever services, depending on the environment. But in this case, you just want to have control of all the firewall rules and networking and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disable the firewall completely. Ideally, in a real world, you would never find that happen. What will happen is rules will be set for specific things that you want to do. Let's say you want access from server A to B, specific firewall rules will be put in place, and the ports, the access inbound and outbound configuration will be done, and all of that. You don't need to worry about the details of all of that. Just disable firewall and let's get going for this example. So come here to control panel and then type on firewall, check firewall status. So in our own case, we have firewall open. So with this, we wouldn't be able to, it will be hard for us to move around the servers. So say for example, let me say I have another server on domain controller. Let me log on to this. I just want to demonstrate something to you. And let me bring the command prompt here. Right click and type cmd to bring up the command prompt. Let me go back through the process. Right click, run, cmd, enter. And now I need to know what the IP address of this server is. So just type ipconfig and hit enter. And what you're looking for is the IPv address for IPv4 address, and that's what we have here. So I'm gonna right click, mark like that and hit enter. So what I want to do is go into my domain controller. We haven't done the screen resolution for this, so just bear with me. Okay, so what I want to test is I want to see if this server can actually ping the other one. So as you can see, it's not getting any reply from it. It's saying request timed out. That's because the firewall rules is so stringent. We have firewall that's set on that other server. So let me go back there and turn off firewall. So turn Windows firewall on or off. So I'll hit turn off, and OK. And that should do it. If we go back into our domain controller, let's see if it actually works. It did work. So now you see we have reply coming back from the other server. So that's just to tell. So if we didn't do this, we might be having difficulty, trying to go back and forth from each of those servers. Okay, so we have our firewall done. What else do we need to do? Meanwhile, I'll send, if you need access to all these steps, all these things, I'll make it available to you. Just ask if you really want it. Okay. And what else do we need to do? We need disable firewall. Let me bring this back on your screen so you can see. We've done this. Time zone, disable firewall, add .NET framework. Okay, let's do that. And this is something that will be done on all the server. All these things we're doing right now will be done on all the servers that you've created, all the virtual machines. So to add .NET framework, hit on this button right here, server manager, and come to add roles and features. Let's bring this up. Click next, 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 and we're looking for .NET. Next, that's it here. .NET framework. So you just hit on that. All right, let's see if we still need to add something else. Here it says add failover cluster feature on all nodes. So you're going to do that on all the nodes as well. So we need failover cluster feature. Let's look for that failover cluster feature. Windows failover cluster. I can't find it. Where is it? Let me go to the next page. No, it's not there. Oops. Okay, I got it. This is it. Failover clustering. That's what we need. Add features. So we hit on that as well. And add application server role. So this is if for example you have a business requirement and you'll be using SSIS, or you need there's something we call distributed transactions. So if you're going to be needing this, then you need to add this role, application server role, because if you don't, running queries from one server to another won't be possible. So we need to add that role, application server role. We need to look for it. Where is it? Oh, these are features. It's a role we're looking for. That's it. Application server. So that's all we need. So next, I believe that's all we need. Let's see if there's any more. That's it. Right. So I'll click next. Next. And for the roles and services, asking for distributed transactions. So I'll just hit on that. Next. And choose a server authentication certificate for SSL encryption. Well, I'm not using SSL encryption. Choose certificate for SSL encryption. Yeah, I'll just choose later because we're not using SSL for this. This is just our lab. We don't need SSL. Yeah, so we just want to keep things simple. No self-signed certificate, nothing. We just leave it like that. And if need be, restart the server. No, I'll just click on no, because I still want us to do some other things. Install. Okay, so we'll wait for this installation to complete, and you will do the same thing on all the nodes. All right, so what does it say? Installation succeeded. Okay, so we can close that now. So that's that. Now what we need to do now is to rename our server appropriately. So come to this Windows Explorer and right click this PC and properties. I like to go through all these things via shortcut. There's a longer way to get there, but I like to go this way. Okay, so come to change settings and rename this computer. Click change, and now I want to name it file share. We're not joining to domain yet. Just say okay, and now we can restart everything together. So this is what I mean when I was saying, to do everything in just one go. All right, so is there anything else we need to do before finally restarting? I think that's it. All right, so hit OK, and now we're going to restart now. All right, so we have our server returned back to us. Hit Control Alt Insert. Remember that. And put your password. Enter. So let's just do some health check around and see if our server is looking good. Let's bring up command prompt cmd. Okay, and let's type our host name and see what we got. File share. Good stuff. We have our time zone. Let's have a look at. So you could just look around, see if everything has been done. Do the same thing on all the servers. I've done the same thing on all the other servers, and mind you, it's just because we're using this non-commercial version, this workstation. If we were using the pro version, we would have to open separate VMware windows like this. Like you see, I have the domain controller on the right, I have file share on the left. Ideally, we would have just had them as tabs right here, and then we can just click from tab to tab. But because we're using the free version, I believe that's why we're having it like this, because I was actually having difficulty trying to see if I could move around with tabs. But it appears that because we're using the non-paid version, this is just what we're gonna have to live with. So yeah, so that's it. So now we have our servers, everything good and ready to set up our domain controller. So the next phase of stuff to do is to set up our domain controller and join the server to the domain controller, and continue with the whole process. Okay, all right, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure. See you in the next movie.